Okay, and here we have the finished result. One new Patron giveaway painting for one of my lucky patrons. As you can see, it came out quite nice. I have been working with all these nuances and all these colors to get into the substance of the onion. And of course I usually exaggerate the colors a bit. That is just my style. The signature is down there for people who wonder about that. Just gonna zoom a little bit like this and then zoom out so you can see it. Yeah, you can see the full process after this. I'm also now gonna pick a patron which is gonna win this painting, and I never know who the lucky patron is. So what I do, I just take my hand like this without seeing, and I pick one and just kind of pick one, and the winner is Lise Arinda Ruud. Okay, great. I actually know her. She's a very sweet girl. I wish I could paint her actually, but she moved away. So yeah, it's great that she won this painting, and I hope that you can do me the favor of leaving a comment, give a thumbs up, even go and check out my Patreon. That would be really great. So if you want to basically help my channel grow or support me, become a patron, as I said. Also remember to put on the notification bell up there so you get a notification every time I post a new video. It is so important. So yeah, and with this I hope that you enjoy the whole tutorial. It took a while to make it, so, and you also find chapters in description, so please use them. It's very important that you use them. I get a view every time you press these things. So with this, I beg you a fine farewell and see you. Yeah, what I meant to say. See you in the next video. But I have one more thing to say, and that is, this is a Patron giveaway for September 2019. So I'm quite out of whack, but I'm catching up. I have a lot of Patron giveaways, so I will try to make all these things come true before this year is over, and then I will catch up with the rest. So I'm a little bit out of whack, but I'm gonna give it to you. Even if you're not a patron anymore, you will get your painting if I pick your number. So if you are paid in all of 2020, but you have stopped at some point in 2020, you will still be able to win a painting. So with this, hope you enjoy. Give a thumbs up, leave a message in description, and share it with your friends, as I did say. So see you in the next video, I hope. Yay! Or maybe even. Okay, I'm gonna paint this onion on this canvas. It's 26.26 centimeters wide, and I think it will be a Patron giveaway. So another onion for my patrons, and you watch me paint in the next section. Okay, here we are. I am now going to paint this beautiful actually onion, and as usual I start by measuring. I'm actually going to try to get the right size. It's not so big, So it's kind of like this with the whole thing. Oh, it's actually quite big. Like this. Well, that's with the thinnest green things. So I guess I will go for just touching it here. I always want it to be a little bit longer down. I don't know actually. See how? No, it's not that big. It's a little bit smaller. Well, I put it in here and here, and this thing is coming up here. The stilk, as it's called in Norwegian. So down like this, and need a better brush there. Since it's kind of going in like this, I need to paint it kind of like this first, like this. It's quite a nice, and there's this thing sticking out over, over there, like this. I'm not gonna make this into a long video. I'm gonna try to keep them short and just talk about painting for once. As you can see here, down like that. Now if I wanted all the shine that goes into that glass thing, I would have needed to have a bigger canvas or make the onion even smaller, but I don't want to do that, so just put it like this. And yeah. So why do I come back to the onions all the time? I kind of keep coming back to onions. There is a good reason for that, because they are so full of textures, and you can see the rules of nature kind of translated into the textures. So yeah. So yeah. See, I just try to start with the more brighter areas. Now this canvas is, the thing with onions is that they kind of look a little bit like the canvas tone. So, yeah. Mm. Going to work a little bit around it so I can get more contrast. The good thing is that there's kind of bluish and quite dark in the background, so I get to kind of lighten up the object. And by doing that, getting more potency in the light areas of the painting. Yay! Okay. There's a shadow here, and more light behind there. It's so nice to do this. I love this work, you know, it's not so... That's why I tell people always to do still lifes. It's so important. It's hard to tell how important it actually is to do that. Because you can actually see all the different tones and stuff. How long was this? 10 minutes? Okay, That's actually the limit, so I'm gonna fill more in 10 minutes, more when I paint it more. Yay. You see what I'm doing anyway. And boom, here we are. I've filled in the whole thing. And now you see it's very crude. And I'll just keep on working for a longer while and get more, a little bit more details into it. Like drawing up these things. Well, you usually just have to let it dry to get into any deep detail, unless you use some kind of medium or some oil that dries immediately. Of course, if you did it in acrylic paint, you could paint over quite fast, or even tempera. But I'm an oil painter and I use only oil, and that is what I will continue doing. So yeah. This one, the distance between this and this is much bigger because it comes all the way out here, and I saw that now. A good thing. So I just have to move it, move it, move it, move it. Okay. Longer. Like this. I think I want to put this onion into the fridge, and I need to paint it fast because other things that is happening. You know, things like this change way too fast, and boom, it takes no time for it to become totally different. So for me it's very important to work on it basically every day, so it doesn't change too much. So okay, like it is. So, yeah, it's kind of, the difficulty now is that it kind of melts, just melts together, and as I put on more paint, I tend to just mix. So, but I'm gonna try to get in some details anyway. Yeah. And the thing is gonna be difficult is kind of get the gravity right, basically. It's always difficult. And of course, I always forget to wash my brushes. And it takes such a short time to ruin them. I need to get better at that. If I had a bigger canvas, I will actually have shown more of the shine, but I don't. So I have to do like this because the light part is up here, like it's up there, it's up here. Yes. Ding. So. Like that. And small here. So. Okay. really calms me down, this. And yeah. Okay. Yeah. 10 minutes. I'm gonna paint a little bit more and then I see you in the next segment. Yes. Okay, here we are again. I'm just gonna do a very short blip. This sketch will do, I think, for now, because it's very hard to put on more paint. It's kind of so slippery that it kind of won't stick. So just have to let it dry a little bit to put on more. So yeah. So okay. They're kind of changing a little bit already. So crazy. It doesn't take much before an onion starts to change. Now, first I did this way, but I think I want to do that way. Yeah. put in some minor details, like here and here. That explains a little bit how it works. And here. Yep. Okay. It's actually way too green. It's not. It was a nice color. It wasn't really what I was going after. So maybe I should just zoom a little bit so you can see clear what I do. Just a thought. Now I need some more. I'm just building some textures here. I'm gonna hold it like this, very light, and boom, and boom, and it's very reddish, whitish here. I'm starting to thinking about the movie Batman, the first Batman. A beautiful scene in Batman. The first movie was, what did we do when we fall? When he falls down in that well, and all the bats are around him. And his father kind of comes down and stretches out his hand and says, what do we do when we fall? The answer is, we pick ourselves up. We don't give up, we keep on walking. We do this in painting, we do this in life. Sometimes it might feel like death could be a good answer to problems and to things that happens in our lives. And of course death is, as Seneca says, the ultimate antidote to pain. There's no doubt about that at all. I mean, no man, no problem, as Stalin so bluntly said it. But it's true. But as long as you are a person, you are not suicidal, and a person of ambition, there are two ways you can go. One is death. The other one is total creativity and life, and the acknowledgement of the beauty of life and the importance of using this life for some positive purpose. I have done many mistakes in my life, and as they say, they have all came home to roost. Put a big egg on my face. Well, what do I do when somebody I personally put a big egg on my face? I take the consequences of my actions and I put them to good use. I and make something great out of it. Something beautiful. Something that will tell a true story. I'm not talking about an onion now, but an onion painting is also a true story. But you just take the pain, take the agony, learn from the mistakes, and create beauty, create coherence, create something that matters, something that resonates. That is the way to go when we fall. Not give in, not dwell, just be and create. Yeah. I have so many paintings, so many books, so many essays, so much of everything inside me. And seriously, it is time to really do something with it. As my late hero Christopher Hitchens did say when he was writing the Hitch 22, and they asked him why he was writing a biography when he was 60 or 59 or whatever it was then. And he said, better too soon than too late. And 3 years after that he was dead from esophageal cancer. So if you haven't done it too early, it would have been too late. And that is the way with life, painting, love, writing, engaging, being, and it's time to take life serious. It's time to take the knowledge that I have accumulated over many years and put it into something great. That is exactly what I'm going to do. Life should be about creating. Period. And all the sweet things that comes beside that, it's only a plus. And that was what I had to say the last 10 minutes of the sketch. And I do hope that you got something out of it. I can see now that I painted around it a little bit here. You can actually see what I was doing. But maybe that's why you could actually hear what I was saying. Okay, see ya. Next segment. Okay, another day, another layer. As you can see, it has dried a little bit. It's actually a little bit wet in there still, but it's only like maybe 36 hours since or 2 days or something since I painted on it. As you can see, I'm putting on my Retouching Varnish from Old Holland. I'm only going to do this once in this tutorial, this lesson because as I said in the beginning, I want to keep it short, to the point, and mostly about painting, so you can actually learn from from this. So yeah. I want to avoid the thick layers, but as you can see, when I put on the Retouching Varnish, all the shadows, all the thing that has become kind of opaque or disappeared into the dry paint are coming back out, and I get kind of a surface that is I can see to work on. I'm also going to do the glaze. I'm going to put a glaze on. I'm going to scrape it up a little bit, but this is going to dry for like 10-15 minutes, and then I will put on the glaze. So stay. Okay, dokie. Then it is the glaze, and yeah. So I will do that. Need a good pencil. As you know, it is. I just take the French ultramarine and the crab black, and I just make this very transparent color, kind of bluish violet color with a lot of medium. It almost drips from my pencil, and then I just add it on like this. I don't need to do so much, I just need to get it a little bit into the cracks here. As you see, when it paints over, it kind of falls into the cracks in the paint, which I think is a very nice thing. You can also use this in the end of the videos, in the end of the paintings, to enhance like shadows. You only glaze the shadow and stuff, and kind of the shadow becomes, or you can actually use the glaze at the end, just go over the whole thing like this, then the shadow will actually become darker, and also the surroundings. Then you can go in with a painting spoon, or whatever you call it, painting knife, and you just scrape away the parts like this, for instance, and you let the glaze and the shadow stay, so you enhance the depth and stuff like that. So there's many things you can do with glazing. Maybe I should just make one bloody video only about glazing. It could be something. Now I do it my way. Nobody has, you see, I also go in now and I do like this to bring out the light again. And there's so many things you can do with this. I'll scrape away some of the oil. I was actually chatting with one of my patrons right now. Also, went a little bit more than 15 minutes, but I can actually feel it is getting a little bit sticky. And the Retouching Varnish actually keeps this oil. It kind of goes into the Retouching Varnish because it's my medium is 70% turpentine and 30% linseed oil with some cobalt varnish in it, so it makes it dry faster. But the turpentine dissolves the Retouching Varnish, and therefore it kind of the glaze also then becomes a part of the Retouching Varnish, and that's why I get this a little bit sticky. So when I start now to paint, I start as usual with the light areas, always when I start, except when I'm actually at the end of the process and maybe just going to enhance some shadows or something. So, and I will start on top of it like this. I need some more reddish, and like this, mixing, and here there's light here, and I will do this. Since this is going in that way, I won't do it like this. I will do it like this. If I did like this, it would kind of flatten it out. You can go both ways, but it can easily be flattened out too much, and you don't want that because then it kind of loses. If I do like this, maybe I'll do both, you know. You just have to, I was talking about that with my patron, my Danish patron on cam, and I tried to, because he asked about how he could, because he felt that his brushwork were kind of getting flat, and of course if you don't want flat brushwork, you need to use this pig bristles or boar, or whatever they call it, or you can also use sable, but they won't get for very more. I also use actually some, I have to admit, I use some cheaper synthetics, but that is only for super extreme detail at the end of the process. But anyway, and I told him, he was asking how to get the brushwork to not lose its potency and be so flat, and that is about how much pressure you actually lay on the brush. Like if you want a layer that is thick and not, and you want it to stick out a little bit of the painting, you kind of take you want it to be sculptural, you hold this very light and you just put it on, if you know what. So that way you keep the brushes, and you keep the brushwork, and you can also maybe go a little bit over that again, even lighter, like this, but it's all about the pressure you put on it. Now if I want to add more color on this, the thing that is great with this is if you do it this way and it dries, you can use a very bright color glaze over it, like a yellow or orange or reddish or whatever, and it will fall into all the small cracks there, and it will kind of do like this, it would come alive. So, because the light will then shine through it, and you get a very clear color, and that's the way I think it's good to do it. Okay, so the best thing to learn these things is just to paint. Just keep on doing it, and you will figure out things as they go. That is how I basically taught myself to paint, just by failing, and learning from my own mistakes over and over and over again. In the end, you will get enough capability of kind of look into the future, that how you can actually predict how your brushwork will work in the next layers. It's almost like playing chess. The better you get, the more you can look into the future and predict different combinations. And it's the same thing with painting. Basically, painting is almost like learning chess. You have to learn the right touch, and you have to learn to predict the future. Of course, touch doesn't matter much in chess, but except if you want to fuck with your opponent. I think there's probably a dimension of that in chess also, because I remember when I was playing chess, I used to play chess, the way you act on the chessboard, if you play with confidence, it's like playing, it's basically like playing poker. You have a poker face and you make the other guy more uncertain with your confidence. You can also trick him into believing that you did some great mistake with your body language and make him believe that, and then he makes mistakes. So I guess there is a certain amount of touch also when it comes down to chess. It's funny how I actually can go into these rants off the cuff like that and figure out stuff that I haven't really thought about that much before. And I actually disproved my own hypothesis here and came to a different conclusion than I had in the beginning. And that is what happens to me when I paint. I do a lot of thinking when I paint, and that is one of the things I love about painting. I get into this deep inner dialogue about life, existence and everything. I don't think about paint that much when I paint. I think about everything actually. Everything. Yeah, I don't think about sports because I don't care about sports. But everything that my mind is occupied with. Philosophy, future, past, mistakes, what I've done right, what I've learned. Everything. Everything! So, that is why I love to paint, because it connects me with my most inner being. And as I also talked to my patron about, was the fact that painting can actually make you into a better person. Because if you connect more with your inner self, through the deep introspection, if you are an honest person and an honest painter, and you are not one of these narcissistic, quasi-sociopathic modernists, which there are many of, you will actually go into this deep inner conversation, deep introspection, and it will over time make you into a better person. There is no doubt about that at all. So doing creative work and being open-minded to be disproved and really challenge yourself and doubting yourself in combination with paint, it is just a recipe for deep connection. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. If it does, you will become a better painter, and I think you will become a better person, because I've noticed something. Despite that for the last 7 years I had very much issues with both depression, pain and everything, but I have connected so much more with my inner being, with my introspection. I have become so much more humble, so much more kinder actually. And I used to be kind before, but I used to be more like an extrovert. Deeper depression, deeper introspection has, even that I couldn't really paint that much because of all my pain and stuff, both emotional and physical. Usually these things are very much linked together. I really also became a better painter despite not painted as much as I wanted to. So yeah, and I'm reaping the benefits of that now when I'm basically starting to become pain-free and my mind is starting to work. Yeah. Okay. Hope it makes sense. And remember, if you want me to be your mentor, you want me to engage with you on a personal level through CAM, Facebook, CAM, or Skype, or whatever, you can sign up for actually $30 for Skyping, but I would probably do it. I like interaction. You know, if you sign up for $5, I will be your mentor. If you want me to Skype with you on CAM, I can do that many times a month actually, it's no problem. I like people, so you sign up for $30 if you can afford it. But $5 if you know is enough to have me as a mentor. So yeah. Okay, I will just keep on painting now, and I see you in the next segment. So, here we are. As you can see, I have been working for a while, and it's getting better. It's still, yeah. So, and like this. Now here you get that effect, which I talk about all the time, the Rembrandt effect. You get this light in the background, and the shadow is kind of creating the shape of that. So, yeah. Like this. And I have no idea what this is. Huh. Anyway, something I put there. It's not supposed to be there. Or, well, I can do it later. See now. There's actually, yeah, I think I had changed a little bit the motif. The onion has kind of moved a little bit, and that's the main problem, I guess. Just place it how it is supposed to be. That was more difficult than I thought. Doesn't want to compute. What the hell? Because I have to put something underneath it to rest on to get that effect, and now it just don't want to stand. Why? It's so annoying. So, there it is. Ah, that's more like it. That's more rational. You see, it's not easy being an artist when the onion keeps changing. And now it's actually not even close to being right. So stand, you motherfucker. Sorry. Okay. Okay, here we go. I've been painting for a while, as you can see, and I am now doing some adjustments. I've been putting on a fair amount of paint. Here you see that shadow. It is what I call the Rembrandt effect. I kind of build as a shadow of a kind of leaf or skull, as we call it in Norway. I try to, or I actually don't try, I use the background as a way to explain the foreground. And yeah, that is what I do. So yeah, as you can see, I'm building around to build that 3D type of thing, as I've been talking about. The Rembrandt effect, or the night watch effect, where the shadow in the background, or the light in the background, and a dark spear. So the light in the background, this is thick and this is thin, both in I also keep it down in tone, but also in texture. So this becomes more sculptural, like a relief, to create that that effect. I love that effect. So it's a reason to paint within in itself, in a way. I just love it. So. Oh. So this one goes out there, just keeps going, actually behind there, maybe a little bit higher up. So okay. Okay. So yeah, okay, I stopped. I think a lot these days, but you know, sometimes it's good for you only to watch and not necessarily me talking all the time. So yeah. Ho. Now, I just want to say this, these paintings actually take more time than you think, especially when I start going into that deep type of detail, or I go further and pushing. So don't, and it's not that, it's quite difficult actually, especially when I come to this point here, where I start adding more detail, and I have to think about, you know, the sketching process is easy, but so okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because I can see that what's happening is that I just keep kind of, the color doesn't really, I can't paint more detail in a way because the paint is just starting to mix into one another. So there's not really a point in painting more. now. But I think it's, for the second sketch, I think it actually, it's not so bad. So I will probably start painting on it also tomorrow, or when some layers have started to dry. I do not want this to become a project like the red onion I was painting, the dry one that is on my channel, where I started on it when it was growing and I ended it when it was basically dead as a doornail and crisp, and there was not a drop of water left in the onion. It was dry as a mummy. So, and the frustration of going through these things and change, because I started on, then I went on I think it was I'm not wrong, it was a Christmas holiday at my parents', and it had changed so much during those 14 days, so 2 weeks I was gone, that it was almost. But then again, I got a lot of hours into it, and yeah. So, there's a tiny detail which I can put on in the end, maybe. There's this orange leaf thing. Not leaf. What do you call that? Shell? Shell. Anyway, it goes up like that. But it's darker behind there, so we get more potency. So, in real life. And I can't really put on more paint now. So, I'm going to quit. So, hope you enjoy. So, so another day, another layer. I have put on the Retouching Varnish, and I will go directly to do a little bit of micro glazing. For so, going over to more detail. Hopefully I will get quite far today, because now I can actually start to concentrate about the small things. The textures are there and all the things I need, so I can go in and be a surgeon. That is also a thing that I many times think about when I paint, when I go into deep detail. That it is in many ways like being a surgeon, because you keep on adding. It's like, or a plastic surgeon, where you have to be very careful what you do. Or brain surgeon, of course I don't have to be that vigilant, but you know, there is some definitely some room for comparisons, because there's so many small things that has to come together. Yeah. I'll pick up my smallest knife. The smallest knife, where is it? There it is. This is one I use for stuff like this. Just remove a little bit. Now it's only drying out. I have been drying for 2 days, and it's only surface dry, so I have to be a little bit careful when I scrape in it. As usual, I will start with the light areas and just try to bang on. So yeah. There's a lot of nice light here hitting this, and there's a shadow going down there, but it's kind of in the red, so I don't want to, I want to, what I do then is to basically work here, and I work on top here, and I try to keep this without touching it. So it becomes a more natural thing. So here we are. As you can see, try to concentrate. The thing that happens when I start concentrating is that my brain goes silent. And that is what happened when I go silent. I just focus. And that is where you want to be when you paint anyway. Of course, when I make these videos, it's harder to get into a deep flow because I'm trying to talk to you or explain to you what I'm doing, so you can actually learn something from it. Like here now, it's very difficult to get this thing to kind of just, there's light here, but you also want it to disappear. So you just have to find a way to make the transfusion from light to the dark and try to avoid lines. To get that rounded feeling, and it's not easy. Even if it just kind of, it's not that this is an important work of art in any stretch of the imagination, but the battle I fight is basically the same anyway. To me, it feels like the most important thing in the world when I'm doing it. So I guess it is in a way for me. In an art history context, I guess it doesn't matter much. But you can actually say that about most art today, because they're made so much beautiful art and so much great things that it's hard to find an objectively good reason to make anything, any painting, traditional painting, for any artwork at all, actually, because most ideas and most things are already spent. But that is also missing the point. If you think that, that is basically missing the point, because every human being is an island of subjective consciousness, the most beautiful thing in the universe. The only thing that matters is consciousness. And every human being who is creating some artwork or anything will add some trace of itself to the universal, not cosmic, but, well, basically cosmic consciousness, you know. I mean, if you think about Rembrandt's paintings, I mean, the guy lived hundreds of years ago, and today we go to museums and we see his subjectivity tattooed into beautiful paintings, timeless paintings that has an address to every single human being through his brushwork and his subjective engagement with the object, even the subject matter in some of his paintings. Now, I think what is the most important, I say that in basically every video I ever made, is the paint and the texture and the skill, because that is what actually shows the subject more than, way more than an idea. I mean, ideas, great ideas, has to be told and explained. And I will say a book is a better means of doing that than a painting. But if you, and the painting can actually stand alone as a subjective or as a manifestation of a human being. Now, if you combine it, if you want to say something about the world that is coherent and have maybe more depth, actually, writing a book would maybe be a better idea. And I have decided to combine it into a project that I'm working on, which is both writing a book and painting a series of paintings for everything, every topic that I have opinions about. So yeah, that is. But for me, the most important thing with Rembrandt's paintings is not the motif, it's not his personal history, thus you can actually learn from his personal history. I can actually compare myself with Rembrandt when it comes to his personal history, because I've been kind of burning the candle in both ends when it comes to both the use of money and buying shit, and kind of got into some trouble with how I acted in the world and how I spent my time and what I was focusing on and how I used my money and stuff like that. And Rembrandt actually died as an old well, he wasn't a happy camper when he left existence, because of his recklessness when it came to how he spent money and time and stuff like that. He also got one of his mistresses committed to a mental hospital, and that wasn't so nice, I guess, because she wanted him to marry him. You know, back in that time it was a lot of shame and stuff, so it's quite understandable. And doing something like that is not a recipe for kind of good memories and stuff. But anyway, so when I look to Rembrandt and how he ended his life, despite that he made some really beautiful paintings at the end of his life, it is not how I want to end my life. That is for sure. So I will do better. And you can learn a ton of things about painting by watching Rembrandt's paintings. And Vermeer, which also was not good at saving his money and taking care of his family and stuff like that. But then again, everybody has their faults. I have my own faults, and we just have to learn from them. At the age of 52, I guess I would now call myself more of a stoic. I try to think less is more, and more of focus and painting is what makes me happy at this point. Not buying shit, not living in nice hotels, not buying another Rolex watch or whatever. None of that bullshit. Just focus, create. That is my goal now, and that is what I'm going for. There is nothing else left really, except for my daughter and my parents. When sunshine hits the trees, you know, that is sitting in a park and just people watching, seeing sunlight hit the canopy. That is enough now. So I'm very glad that I understood that, because I was just not mindful for many, many years. So I wrote about it in my diary, so I knew it, but I couldn't actually connect it. I compared it with Donald Duck when he has this devil and the angel on his shoulder in these old classics. And the angel and the devil is fighting like crazy, and sometimes the devil wins, but in the end it is the angel that wins the battle and leads to the correct way of life, of living. I used to have a still many times have a battle, but the angel has grown so much bigger than the devil in my head. Not the devil like in religious, but I think you understand that. Because I'm an atheist, I don't believe in devils and I don't believe in angels. So. But the inner voice, the introspection, has become so strong that I'm able to do emotional overrides and force myself to do the right things, that of course leads to a better result both in my life and in my paintings actually. More introspection, more honesty, more honest interaction with yourself will also lead to better brushwork and better paintings. So honesty, pure and simple honesty is extremely important if you're going to become a better painter. Now, if you're going to become a painter who not necessarily is that extremely technical, but which is very subjective in his paintings. Of course, technique and skill is also extremely important, but the honesty that is put into the brushwork is also extremely important. And it's actually quite hard to explain to people what that is, but when people reach it, they know it. So my late sculpture teacher in Stavanger art school, he sadly died in the 60s, a few years ago. I didn't know that, but he was talking about being humble and honesty. And thinking back his work, I know exactly what he was talking about. His approach to his art was 100% honest. It was without any pretense or any narcissism. It was just right on into the depth. So yeah. Okay. That was much about painting. I will do that later. I think this might give you an idea of how to think and stuff. So hope it's. So a few hours later, here we are. Kind of getting more into deeper detail. I think I have put on a lot of paint. It might be a good idea to let it dry now. So I don't start screwing up. It's very typical. You come to a certain point, you start to screw everything up. So yeah. Yeah, that was nice. See, I'm building here now. So you get that Rembrandt thing I was talking about. It's so important. And that is a way, you just inch yourself towards it. So yeah. That's one thing. See, I kind of line it up here. Then I just dissolve it afterwards. Like this. So, and yeah, this has to be a little bit like that, this way. Has changed a little bit, so you know, it's so little that can happen to put me off track, because it had twisted a little bit, and I start to kind of change stuff, and then I realized that I'm not supposed to change stuff. I'm supposed to stick with the first sketch, or chaos, total chaos will appear. So, yeah. Yeah, I need more. So, and this one is very far away. We shouldn't have that bright color. This is what is so difficult with these paintings. You know, you come to this point and everything becomes difficult. Everything becomes a challenge. And you just have to be patient, not lose your temper, keep focusing. In the end, you might get a result you can live with. Yeah. That shadow is kind of reddish and blue. And but I think I need to lift it up a little bit before I put it down like this, so that I actually feel that there is something underneath. Then I will build around it. Like this. And here. Yeah. Okay. Strange that an onion can become so important to me, again and again and again. Painted so many onions in my life and I never seem to get it right. It's so funny. always meet the same problems on maybe different level. And I keep working and I keep being frustrated and I think I'm never gonna do it again. And then I find an onion that I like and boom, I start all over again. Yeah. Okay. So okay, I think I'm gonna stop now with this today because it has its limits. Even my eyes has its limits, you know, we come to a certain point and you're not really able to see anymore. And that is the point where you will start going rogue and start ruining stuff and destroying the nice things you have done. That is the thing with detail. If you want a substance, you have to give it time, You can't do it in this one sketch. It has to be done layer upon layer upon layer. And the closer you get, the smaller the nuances become. Like I will put in more spots and more the crispiness in the onion skin and more detail in general. Yeah. But as I say, it's too dry. I haven't painted that thick today, so I think actually it will be able to paint over it already tomorrow. So it's quite nice on a distance. So yeah. Okay, here we are. I will try to finish this today. It's going to be a little bit rough, a little bit difficult, but I think it's going to be possible. I'm going to start. Actually, I saw here for the shadow, it's too dark here. It has to be more light, so I can actually do a shadow on it there. I didn't notice that before. Strange, actually. That is the kind of weird things that happens sometimes. You go into symbols, you don't actually see what's actually there, and you start painting symbols. You know, I thought it was going to be darker, but then I realized that it isn't. It's actually quite not bright, but there are more in the background than I noticed before. So I will enhance it a little bit, and I will push down this thing. So then I do like this. I just try to get all the way into the thing. What do we call that? That thing that grows? That leaf thing on the onion? It's not a leaf actually. I have no idea what it's called in English, but you know what I mean. The green growing thing. The stilk, as we would call it in Norway. Yeah. See here, just try to. So much darkness anyway, so it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. If you go too dark, it can easily become a very rigid surface. As you can see, I'm working now in directions, like this way, to kind of get a woolly, almost a woolly type of surface. And also now the dark underneath actually shines a little bit through and gives it a better, shall we say, feel of real space or real colors. Now this is too violet and has to go much way down into more bluish, or no, more dark like this. So it's stuff like that that happens. I just saw it, you know, when I was going to start. I saw, okay, I was wrong. So, okay, now I'll have to do it a little bit more, get it up a little bit more, actually. So, and down like this. It's very important to get this one to be linked together. These are the things that takes time, because you get into this what shall I say, almost neurotic type of, there's always another detail that is how my brain works. There's always another detail that I want to add, and in the end it can easily become overkill. So, because I'm trying to basically build it as a sculpture, and I should start when I get time. It's a horrible thing to say, actually, when you get time, because the time is now, it isn't in the future. And time is now, it's now, yes. So, see now, and then I'm using actually color or a black here in this, because, and I used French ultramarine and actually some cadmium orange to kind of break it down a little bit, and then I can also lift it up to adding some more yellow, and that is the way I just go back and forth to try to make it come alive. And hopefully I will succeed. Yeah. Yes, you see now. The nuances are very much close together. So when I kind of close my eyes and squirt my eyes, or whatever you call it, it's almost the same, but not quite. So, yeah. I'm listening so much to Seneca and to Marcus Aurelius these days, and Stoicism. Been talking about that a lot lately. I really recommend it. I even recommend it to my daughter, because she has my personality, and it kind of takes away a lot of the anger and focuses your mind in a good way. There should be a goal in self, not to get angry or too emotional, and try to find some certain peace of mind. Try to stop when one gets agitated or something happens, when your mind starts to wonder, if you have some anxiety, just try to take a step back and think, well, as they say, someday I'm going to die, and this is nothing compared to that, you know. As Christopher Hitchens did say, what one should fear the most is fear itself. And it's more, of course, more easy than one should think, but there's something in it. See now, I have to lift it back up again, and I need that to be a little bit more to the reddish, maybe. Yes. Now I'm mixing some cadmium yellow, see if that works. Yeah, that might work. Yeah. Just try to get the same. So go down like this, see if that works better. I tend to like this direction best. Right here might be a good idea to go down like that, and then forward again, this. See the distance. So difficult this. It's not easy. Might do that. Yeah, because now it gets more depth. Because actually, when I only went this way, it kind of sent the light back, so it didn't get that depth. So, and that is how you learn to paint, you know. You just test things out, and some things will work, other things will be a dead end, and you will use a lot of time, especially in the beginning when you paint. You're going to spend a lot of time on dead ends. And what's important to keep going is pure love, the pure love of the flow when painting. I've been doing this I can remember back I went to a drawing school. First I was a welder in a shipyard. I quit that and I went into a drawing school, because I was thinking about becoming for some reason, I have no idea why. I think I was fascinated with commercial productions and stuff like that, because I was a very superficial young man. I liked everything that was fashion and stuff like that, and I thought that, you know, in commercials, you know, creating commercials, drawing, there would be a lot of, you know, exciting people and parties and stuff like that. I think that was the reason, actually. Well, it was actually because I was going to get a new skill, because I couldn't weld anymore because of some asthma problems, which I think is a little bit exaggerated, but yeah. And I went on to this drawing school, and I met this great teacher called Sissel Kobostad, and she showed me color and color circle and all that, and I fell in love with painting. And I remember when I was sitting hours upon hours upon hours drawing and painting, and that feeling was just love at first sight, love at first pencil stroke or brushwork, the peace. So yeah, that's why I'm painting. I'm painting because of two women actually. An ex-girlfriend called Heidi, which actually got me to start drawing again. Like every teenager, I stopped drawing when I started running after girls. And I was with that girl, and she was tired of me when I was not working, sitting in cafes and drinking coffee or training. Get a hobby. She threw this pencil to me as some paper. I fell in love with it. Totally, actually. Well, that's how I remember it. So, and since that, I've been standing here for 30 years almost, trying to solve problems. The same problem every time, every single painting. The same problem. It's really strange. It is like a relationship, a loving relationship, which are bringing you deeper and deeper and deeper into your own being. And yeah, connect with yourself in such a way that you don't really need others' attention so much, that stuff. So even if you have no ambition with becoming an artist and live from it, make a living, have it as a hobby. It's actually quite amazing. Quite an amazing hobby that connects you with yourself in a very beautiful way. Yeah. Okay, I will keep on painting. And I see you later, alligator. Okay, here you can see I've been working with some more detail, and it's kind of becoming something, and maybe I should zoom a little bit so you can see better. Maybe a little bit like this. You see now? Yeah. I'm trying to find a way to make it basically shine. And you have to be so careful because it's so easy to overdo it or interpret the colors wrongly. So, yeah. See now, there's something going up here. I see I've done some mistakes, but there's no big mistakes. So, I think it will be fine. This goes kind of bend over like that. There's also one coming here. Yeah, you see, I'm getting more. Trying to round it without it becoming stiff. I think that is one of the most difficult things. That is why you have to go and see Valmia, which is brilliant in getting these these small nuances right. I was planning to finish this today, but I see now I need one more, at least one more go, because I need to do some micro glazing and basically get more colors right and some more details in, so that I actually feel it has some life to it. The good thing is it's not growing fast. It's quite stable for some reason. I changed a little bit of color, but nothing big, so that's good. It's so funny to go from the sketch and into this kind of depth view, because you yeah. So that's nice in a way, a little bit too much. But then I go in with some more pure color, and I can kind of drag it back up like this. Yeah. And like this. becomes kind of more holistic. Whole, not holistic but whole. And there's some green here, yellowish because of orange behind there. And I need some more blue to push it down to green. Like that. And you get that Rembrandt effect, which I call the Rembrandt effect. I just love the Rembrandt effect. So yeah. Okay, I need some more white there. So. You know, these videos always tend to become longer than I thought. It's almost impossible because, you know, if I'm gonna teach anyone to paint, they really do have to have the patience to see whole processes. It is not quick. It is not a quick fix. This. It's not an easy thing. Like I show you how to paint a landscape in 10 minutes. No, it's not how it works. You have to see all the agony, all the whole fights, or you won't get it. I had this. I talked to this guy out Saturday, and he was telling me what talents I had and stuff. And he wasn't talented to do like this. He couldn't do it. I said, "Have you ever done it?" And he said, no, he hadn't done it. So how can you know that you can't do it? I mean, if you trained for 30 years, or do it for 30 years, I mean, most people would get better to it. So this talent thing is just annoying, because it's about work. It's about how much effort you're willing to put into it. That is all it is about. Nothing more, nothing less. And of course you need to have that type of personality that are willing to stand around and work hours upon hours on tasks like this, which is in any objective sense pretty meaningless, but gives a lot of pleasure and meaning to existence itself. Yeah. As you can see, I'm very careful with what I'm doing now, because I don't want to screw it up. That green thing is always very difficult, because I tend to like it to be a little bit more vivid than reality, and sometimes it just becomes a little bit too vivid. But that is basically how I like it, so I just have to live with it, I guess. Okay, there's a lot of small details here, things that are happening in it, and It's this line coming out here, and it goes down like this, like the onion. Onions often do have kind of lines like that. And there's also one here. Then I have to find a way to make those seem natural, because it's not a line, it's kind of just a integrated texture, something. Maybe glazing would be a better way to attack it, actually, because it's so subtle, it's unbelievably subtle. And I have to wait with that. This one is a little bit too. So, yeah. Better. That's better. Okay. So. That. See, I'm mixing colors on the canvas. It becomes more natural this way. See that? It becomes way more natural. Now it can start to look a little bit real. My ear is itching. And up here it's more warmer, it's more red, which of course would give it some more depth. And that would be better as a glaze, actually. Thin glaze. So, yeah. It's a very distinct difference. I will now do like this to bring those two together. Then I pick up some more greenish and I tone down this. Yeah. Tone down this. And I will bring this one a little bit more up with some cadmium yellow. And boom, it seems a little bit more natural. So, yeah. Let's do it like that. I become so silent inside my head when I do this. It's unbelievable. And it just goes wow, deep, deep, deep. Okay, that was a few minutes, so yeah, this will do for today. Okay, so here we are, the last layer of color. So zoom out a little bit like this. As you can see, I'm just going to add some very soft glazes and hopefully some soft shadows. Try to pinpoint where I need to give it a little bit more shadows and stuff like that, but nothing much. So yeah, just need some clean medium for that. So see, I will use this one for this micro glazing, as I call it. Now it looks quite nice as it is actually, so it's quite dangerous to start fucking around with it, but you know, there's always another layer, and it's nice to come to a point where I can actually tell myself, okay, now it's done, it's finished. It's gonna make a patron happy, hopefully. You see now I go over both the shadow and this, so I kind of link them together like that. I use the medium I'm using, the same I used before, is 70% linseed oil with some, I think it's, what is it, it's some cicative stuff in it. Let's see here now, and then I do it like this. And you get more, way more 3D effect instantly. And that's what I always think about these old paintings when you are restoring them, because I know that painters did stuff like this, like Rembrandt and stuff, did stuff like this at the end of the end of the video, of course, but end of the painting process. But if you restore it, that might be conflicted with dirt. And I've seen paintings where I feel that much of the life in the paintings has been removed because of that. Now I could be wrong here, okay? I'm not. It's just my kind of hypothesis or theory. Maybe a hypothesis, not even a theory. There's a difference, you know. But that is how I see it. I might have to talk to. I should talk to our person who restores old paintings about that actually, so it could be a little bit more sure. Now here I'm using actually using vermilion glaze, a glaze with pure vermilion, because I want it to be a little bit more reddish, especially in here, and to get more punch out of it. There are some reddish layers around. See here, this is just glazing. It's very, very light glazing over the colors underneath. So, yeah. And then I will start painting a little bit. I want to increase the light a few places, very strategically, very slowly, and then maybe some more details. Just take it totally easy, and hopefully I will be done with this today, in an hour or two, hopefully. Yeah. Now also using the back of the brush, so I'm scraping into the glaze so I get some life into it. You can also kind of scrape out some light if you want to. If you have glazed over, you can do like this, and you can get what's underneath back, and it all comes together in that way. So, let me see now. Oops. Well, I don't need that right now. At least I can bend down now. For a while there I couldn't even bend down because of my hips were hurting so much. But now they are fixed, and I'm back in business. I can actually bend down and pick up my pencils again when they fall to the floor. That is how crazy my hips were, how long gone my hips were. So you don't want to get there, to that point. Anyway, here, as you can see now, it's very fluid now here, so I can just use that like that. So now it's very much glazed. That is what I saw in the, I think it was the Frick Museum, or was it New York? Was it the National Gallery? Anyway, you see, Vermeer was putting on the oil. In the end, when he was glazing, the way I see it, I'm not sure if this is true, but it's also my hypothesis, that he actually put on very thin layers of medium, and then he just let the colors melt into each other in the end of the process to create these beautiful translucent, is that the right word? Shadows and stuff. See, now it's kind of just melting together. And I can go up like this and remove. Yeah. So. Also want some more light just here. So that, and there's some more light there. So, I kind of want a little bit of spotlight there too. These last layers are the layers that make me the most neurotic, because it is so hard to see if I should actually put on more or not. And sometimes you go too far and then you lose the subtlety, and it just, yeah, doesn't work. It's always a horrible feeling when that happens. I had 4 glasses of wine with my daughter on Friday, and it is strange, not more than 4 glasses and my eyes actually has more problems focusing. This tells a story about alcohol. See that? Very thin, trying to keep it natural. Nothing excessive. Yeah, just so it feels like it grows up. Also have to put in some here. Link them together. So, put in a little bit too much shadow here, I think. So, now it kind of melts better. Together, see, I also use my fingers. You shouldn't be ashamed of using your fingers. You just have to figure out what is best for you. That is the most important thing of all, I think, anyway. If you could just teach yourself to paint, like I did, it's the best thing you can do. Because then it becomes yours. You don't have a master. Well, I have masters, but it's kind of dead masters, you know. The best masters, the best painters in the world has already lived, okay? I don't think anyone will be able to compete in the same lane as Rembrandt and these. There's a lot of good painters, but there's something to them that makes them eternally special. It's almost like they reached they reached basically 100% of paintedness possibility, and there is no 101. Of course it's difficult to say that, because some people will say, well, I like this better and I like that better. But I measure it in how they used to paint, and the passion and subjective presence in the brushwork, which is amazing. And it's kind of a sad fact that during my lifetime I will never reach that level. But I can reach my potential. I can stretch out during my lifetime and touch my own potential. And that should be enough. You know, you shouldn't compete with art history or artists or anyone in such a way that you degrade the importance of your own subjectivity. You also shouldn't become such a subjective ass that it turns into narcissism. That is very dangerous for an artist. I've seen it happen. It's no good when people turn into narcissists, because they start lying to themselves. And if you start lying to yourself, you won't be able to evolve as a painter or as a human being. So something has to come into your life and keep you nailed to the ground. And you know, I always talk about Donald Duck. I used to have two voices. The devil, you know, the guy with the horns on Donald's shoulder, and then the angel. And they were kind of, well, they weren't equal. I think always the angel were a little bit more present than the bad sides. But as they say in Star Wars, the path to the dark side is the easy way. Actually, I saw a funny, I didn't see it, but I saw a headline on a YouTube video on a channel who are dissecting heroes and stuff in films in a psychological way, and they called the dark side a personality disorder. And I guess that is exactly what it is. You know, that is so smart to say that the dark side, you know, the Sith Lords, is just a personality disorder with anger and darkness and malice and destruction. Maybe for a good reason for them, but it is actually not a good thing. And it's so true. And the same thing goes with having this angel on the shoulder and this devil that fights. It's like, it is the dark side, the devil in you is the personality disorder, and then you have the angel that tries to correct you all the time. And sadly, we human beings tend not to listen to this dark side. We tend to watch the porn, we tend to drink the beer when we shouldn't, we tend to eat the wrong foods. And then we wake up and wonder why we got fat, or we wonder why we didn't get things done, and we wonder why. And that is why complete honesty, and try to let that beautiful angel on the shoulder grow stronger and stronger and stronger, to a point where introspection and basically inherent morals starts to stop you from going overboard. Like me, when I watch porn, if I get tempted to watch porn now, it doesn't take long before this Donald Duck thing comes up and it starts to tell me what I'm looking at. It starts to tell me I'm looking at a girl that has had trauma in her childhood, that doesn't have money, and she has to do these things to get food on the table. And it just says like, goodbye. I can't derive any pleasure from it anymore, because the angel has grown too big. And when you come to that point, you can't ignore it anymore. You just have to accept it and start living another life. And it's a beautiful thing. I don't know why I ranted so much about this, but it's the same thing with painting. Complete honesty, and it has to be painful to become good. You know, when I'm standing here painting on these small details here, I'm basically scared shitless, because I'm so afraid to make. Sometimes it's like a balloon, you put a needle in and it just dies in front of your eyes. And this can easily happen with a painting like this. You do a little bit too much, a little bit too little, and then the air goes out of it, and you have to use another 8 hours on it just because you couldn't stop. You know, you didn't make the right choices. You may find these rants boring, but I think if you really understand what I'm saying, I think it can help you. Because becoming a better painter is really not just about painting. It is about becoming more conscious, more honest, kinder actually. And let that kind of become a part of your painting. And that's where personality. And that is also where, when people say, oh, why do you paint figurative? You could just take a photo. Well, a photo will not have this in it. It won't have my personal touch. And painting is all about personal, subjective touch. That can make it into poetry. So people who say that doesn't even understand what painting is about. It's just such a lame discussion, you know. So I hear people say that, it's just so boring. You just know that these people know nothing about subjectivity, poetry, and what really matters. Yeah. Okay, that was a long rant, longer than expected, but it was full of thoughts today, and I want to share them with you. So next time you see this, I'm done. Okie dokie, here the finished painting. So you can see it. It's quite nice, I think. Came out quite okay. The framing is also quite beautiful. So yeah, this is what you get for your $5. So, and you also get to have me as your mentor. So keep on supporting me, and maybe sooner or later I will pick your number out of the hat. Yeah. Okay. Enjoy, live life, and prosper, as they say.